Chapter 936. Finisher. As the host of this party, Lu Guanning would lose a lot of face running into this sort of trouble. Then, Yi Shu and Tang Ru came out to slap faces and in the end, even Tang Ru's dad came, blow after blow landing on the troublemaker, resulting in Lu Guanning not even having the chance to make a move. If he really let young Master Lu go just like that, how was he going to show his face in the future? Young Master Lu had wanted to flee when no one was paying attention, yet someone had seen him. Running away without care was something that uncultured people did. For them, on the other hand, image was very important. Young Master Lu turned his head back, afraid to initiate anything further, just waiting to see what Lu Guanning had planned. I remember there was a rule here, that if more than a certain number of members agreed, we could kick someone out, right? Lu Guanning said, looking at the club staff that had yet to leave. Everyone was surprised upon hearing this. They hadn't thought that this host, who had been watching the drama unfold all this time, would suddenly strike, and strike so viciously. Getting kicked from the club was a most humiliating thing. Hearing this, the staff were also shocked, but the guest had asked for the rules, so he could only oblige and answer truthfully, yes. Wonderful. Then I suggest we kick out this uncultured, uneducated person, who doesn't seem to have any idea what to do with his life. Does anyone concur? Lu Guanning immediately called out. Yi Shu and the others heard his tone, immediately reminding them of someone shouting and looking for a party outside a dungeon entrance. The guests were all here to spectate. Who would concur to such an offensive decision? Yi Shu's group weren't members themselves, so they didn't have the right to concur. I concur. I agree. I'm all for this. I'm definitely in accord. It was then that several voices rose up in agreement. The guests were all shocked. Someone was willing to risk offending people and agree? Yi Shu's group turned to look, only to find that the ones that sent out voices of agreement were Zhou Yunhai, Wen Kebei, Guxiye, and Zhang Yeli. The four of them were composed as they walked over to stand at Lu Guanning's side, looking at young Master Lu tauntingly. These people. Yi Shu paused for a moment before having a sudden understanding. Zhou Yunhai and the other three could give a response, meaning that they were members of the club, and if you wanted to join a club like this, you had to be worthy of it. If they were just Lu Guanning's playmates, then they would, at most, be like Yi Shu's group, here as Lu Guanning's guests. If they wanted to be members, then they had to have some sort of background. If they were merely Lu Guanning's glory friends, then that wasn't enough. Seeing how these four were also dressed immaculately, fitting in completely with the environment, how could they possibly be normal glory players? These four were also of the upper class. Considering their age and how they were always holed up, playing glory, it was evident that they couldn't have been young geniuses that built themselves up from scratch. They should also be the young masters of rich families. Team Heavenly Swords wasn't just the creation of Lu Guanning, this one money warrior, but rather 5 money warriors. No wonder they hadn't listened to Yi Shu's suggestion to find a skilled veteran to strengthen their team. It was because their team, no matter what, would have them 5 as the core. This could not be changed. This team was theirs and the 5 of them were all bosses in their own right. They had built a team to have fun in the pro circle, not as an investment. Anyone who came to Team Heavenly Swords would want to take the place of a core member. This sort of stable lineup of Team Heavenly Swords was unprecedented and very possibly never to occur again. That was why the addition of a god like Sun Jeping who had special circumstances made Lu Guanning so happy. Otherwise, never mind a god, any skilled player wouldn't be able to accept being a sub in a team where they would never have a chance to become a core player of. The number of people who had concurred with the idea of kicking young Master Lu out had suddenly become 5. Young Master Lu's complexion became extremely ugly. He didn't recognize any of these people, but being members of this club, they definitely weren't normal people. Yet with the situation between them having escalated to this, young Master Lu didn't bother to worry about offending them. Seeing that there were a total of 5, he laughed mockingly. So few people, I think that's far from enough. Count me in as well, young Master Lu then heard a voice say from behind him. Who was this? Thinking of how Tang Ru's father had come before, young Master Lu felt that this definitely was a good omen. Turning his head to look, he saw a person who only lacked the words "savage" written on his face walk in. The people who came in and out of the club, even the staff, were all well dressed. Only Yishu's group wasn't up to standard. This was also one of the reasons why young Master Lu felt disdain when seeing them. Dog meat wasn't fit for ceremony. However, this person was also dressed casually, not at all classy enough for this club. Yet since this person could concur, he also had to be a member. Young Master Lu didn't recognize this person either, but he saw that the staff had already gone over to him, greeting him respectfully. Young Master Zhang came. Yup, I came. Do we have enough people yet? The person referred to as young Master Zhang was that frenemy of Lu Guaning's. The party had already been going on for half a day and this guy only arrived now. It was definitely not giving the host any face. Yet as soon as he came, the first thing he did was back the host up. I still don't think it's enough, the club staff said. Really? How many votes are we missing? I'll call them over. As young Master Zhang said this, he grabbed his phone. With the way he was yelling, it was like he was calling for reinforcements in a gang war or something. Young Master Lu looked around at the people present, his head aching. Tang Ru's father was obviously controlling himself. Considering his identity, he was above getting into petty fights with these juniors. After shutting up young Master Lu with a single sentence, he had gone to one side to talk with his daughter, completely ignoring the matter. What about young Master Zhang? He didn't have any sort of elder's tolerance. What this guy did most often in this club was make a big deal out of something small, and make it such a deal that there was no way to settle it. Causing trouble was his forte. Why was he so unlucky as to have run into this guy today? At this point, going over to try and smooth things over would be utterly humiliating. Young Master Lu, face pale, glared at them as well as young Master Zhang, whom he was secretly somewhat afraid of. I see how it is. With that sentence, young Master Lu turned and left. Hey, how come you're leaving? You should at least struggle a bit. Are you just willing to get kicked out without any resistance? Young Master Zhang was still yelling loudly. Yet what reason would young Master Lu have for turning back? He was gone quickly, as if he had activated an assassin's shadow move. In the end, he still ran like a street gangster that couldn't win in a fight. However, this was a smart move considering the situation. Running and ruining his own image gave the other side a reason to stop. After all, running off like that was better than being kicked out. It would be too easy for others to misunderstand being kicked, thinking that he had done something terrible. It would ruin his reputation. How boring. Seeing young Master Lu running away, young Master Zhang put away his phone as his interest flagged visibly. You're early. Lu Guaning didn't express any form of gratitude to young Master Zhang at all, his first words mocking how late this guy was. Shut up. I just came out of a board of directors meeting. Do you think I'm like you, having nothing to do but play games? Young Master Zhang asked. Yishu's group was bewildered by the true nature of the relationship between these two, sweat dripping at these words. Wouldn't you call taking the time to find someone just to strike a blow at Lu Guaning's face, having nothing to do? Board of directors meeting? Placing something like that with this person was like talking about Yishu and Beethoven together. They did not complement each other at all, completely unimaginable. Hey, you guys came too. Young Master Zhang even greeted Yishu's group, surprising them greatly. By the time he had finished greeting them, a waiter had already brought over a plate of wine glasses. Young Master Zhang took one glass at random, raising it in a toast to everyone. I'd arranged to meet with someone about a contract, so I was just passing by. Now that I've finished passing by, bye-bye. After that, he put the emptied glass back on the plate and left. Your friend, Chen Guo, seemed to have a thought. Yes, Lu Guaning asked. Was he really passing by, or was he busy and came over for you after hearing of your trouble? Chen Guo asked. God knows what he's thinking. Lu Guaning seemed to think it not worth his time to consider young Master Zhang's train of thought. With young Master Lu's departure, the party went back to normal. It was just that with Tang Ru's father here, more and more people began to pay attention to Yishu's group. Originally, with their unfitting attire, everyone could tell they weren't on their level, so very few people initiated conversation with them. Now, everyone kept coming over. Even Yishu, who kept hiding in a corner, smoking, had been pulled into a conversation by someone. Team Happy wasn't something that went in one ear and came out the other anymore. Many people had taken notice, prepared to research once they got back, especially what the heiress of the Tang family was doing there. That was the crucial point. No one knew where Tang Ru and her father had gone. All they knew was that they came back a long time after they had left. With her identity not dressed well, that could easily be ignored. With Tang Ru's return, she was immediately surrounded. These immaculately dressed people seemed to have forgotten all propriety. Don't you think it might be time for us to leave? Chen Guo hurriedly suggested, seeing the situation. Lu Guaning, their host, for the first time didn't seem to want them to stay. Seeing that Tang Ru was going to leave, many voices called for them to stay, but no one dared to cling to them and force them to do so. Seeing that they still wanted to go, the crowd could only try to leave a good and lasting last impression as they sent Yi Shu's group off. Lu Guaning's party almost ended because everyone wanted to say goodbye to Tang Ru. The car will be here soon. Lu Guaning could feel himself sweating at the sight of all these people who had lost their cool at the entrance of the club. These people were crowding around and fighting over a send-off. The job of chauffeuring suddenly became a something everyone wanted to offer. My lady. It was at this moment that a car drove past the front door, parking itself at the side of the road. The chauffeur came out and called over. An abrupt silence fell. Shall I drive you back? The chauffeur said. What if we ride my dad's car? Tang Ru asked Yi Shu's group. Who dared to try and argue when Tang Ru's father wanted to take them back? Sure, Yi Shu didn't care at all. The four got on and left. Lu Guaning let out a breath of relief. I never would have guessed that Soft Mist would be the heiress of the Tang family, Zhou Yunhai said, edging over. They were still more used to calling Yi Shu's group by their in-game tags. Yeah, who would have? Lu Guaning agreed. Chapter 937. As long as you're happy. The chauffeur deserved his title as a professional. He drove the car swiftly and steadily. Tang Ru sat shotgun *, while Yi Shu, Chen Guo, and Steamed Bun sat in the back. No one said anything. Chen Guo fished out her cell phone and went online to do a quick search. A moment later, she gently nudged Yi Shu and put her cell phone in front of him to look at. Tang Corporation Limited. The corporation started out as a spinning, weaving, printing, and dyeing business. After 10 years of growth, their main business was in spinning and weaving. They were an enormous conglomerate with developments in several other areas as well and had about 14,000 employees. The corporation could even be ranked on an international level. There was a big picture of the corporation's chairman, Tang Shusen, who was the person they had just met, Tang Ru's father. He had a huge list of gorgeous achievements and honors. The internet didn't have much information on his family background though. Was Tang Ru an only child? Did she have any brothers or sisters? Searching for Tang Ru didn't yield any results. Their hotel wasn't far. No one said a word on the way there, and they soon arrived. The chauffeur got out of the car and sent them on their way. After bidding them farewell, he left. After the car drove off, Tang Ru turned around. The other three were standing neatly behind her. Miss, would you like us to carry your bags for you? Yi Shu asked. Tang Ru didn't know whether to laugh or cry. Go go go, let's go up first, Chen Guo called out. When they returned to the room, the four sat together in a circle. Yi Shu lit up a cigarette, but it was snatched away by Chen Guo. Yi Shu was helpless. He could only jump to the main topic. He looked at Tang Ru. What's the situation? It's not as complicated as you think it is. Tang Ru obviously knew that the other three wanted to talk to her. What? I was originally studying music abroad, but I didn't want to anymore all of a sudden. Then, my father said that if I didn't want to anymore, then to just come back home, so I came back home. Then, he asked me what I wanted to do. I said I didn't know. He told me I should go and travel around to relax, so I did. Later, I passed by Happy and saw that it was hiring, so that's how I got there. And once I was there, I stayed, Tang Ru said. Your father said that? He doesn't care what you do. Chen Guo was dumbstruck. When I decided to stay here, I told him I found a job. He asked me what type of job? I said as an internet cafe employee. He asked, what do you do there? I said that I manage the computers at an internet cafe. He asked me how long I would do it and I said I didn't know. He said okay and told me to call and come back often. That's about it, Tang Ru said. That's not scientific at all. Chen Guo was having an intense struggle in her heart. From what she had thought, Tang Ru had such a powerful background. There must be some sort of special reason or conflict that made her become an internet cafe employee. But it turned out that everything between Tang Ru and her father was just that, plain and simple. Let alone a household like hers, even a very normal family would be worried about their child's job, no? What's not scientific? Tang Ru asked. Internet cafe employee, this. Haha, for me and my father, it doesn't matter what I do, Tang Ru said. How can you say that? Because he always tell me that it doesn't matter as long as I'm healthy and happy, Tang Ru said. In this instant, everyone understood. Tang Ru had been born with a silver spoon in her mouth. She never had to worry about clothes or food. She was the child of a wealthy family who didn't know which direction to go. And it turns out that her father was someone who only hoped she enjoyed her life and didn't care which direction she went in. Enjoying life. This concept differed from person to person. Some people considered struggling towards a goal as enjoying life. Some people considered having clothes and food and idling their time away as enjoying life. So on and so forth. In reality, Tang Ru was someone who treated struggling and competition as enjoying life, but the problem was that struggling and competing required a goal. During her time at the internet cafe with Chen Guo, she was rather bored because she didn't have a goal, but now, glory had become her inspiration, so now everyone could see a Tang Ru, who was filled with enthusiasm. Does your father know that you want to be a pro player? Chen Guo asked. Yeah, he knows, Tang Ru said. What does he think of it? Chen Guo asked. He watched the Pro League streams 3 weeks in a row and even had his secretary record all of the matches for him. Then, he asked where I was, Tang Ru said. PFT, Chen Guo couldn't help but laugh. No matter how powerful Tang Shusen was, it seemed like he was no different than the average father. He truly didn't know much about something like glory, which was more of a young person thing. He should understand now, right? Chen Guo said. He gets it now. He's been watching our journey through the Challenger League ever since, Tang Ru said. Does he understand it? Chen Guo asked. He didn't at first, but slowly, he's getting a feel for it, Tang Ru said. Oh. He at least knows that soft mist can't shoot bullets, Tang Ru said. Haha, you should help your father expand his knowledge on glory, Chen Guo said. I heard that his secretary had to research glory until his head bled, Tang Ru said. What a pity, Chen Guo sighed. That's just the way it is. So you can still continue playing for our team, right? Chen Guo said. Of course, Tang Ru smiled. Then, let's keep working hard, Chen Guo was excited. Tang Ru's identity had made her worried the most. She didn't know whether Tang Ru could continue playing the game with them, but she could finally relax. Let's rest for now. We'll go back tomorrow and get ready for the final round of the online portion of the Challenger League, Chen Guo announced. The next day, Lu Guaning personally came over to send them off. Where's old Sun? After Yi Shu saw him, he asked about Sun Ziping's situation. He's already signed the contract. He'll be with us for now. He'll go over to you guys when you guys need him for the offline part of the Challenger League, Lu Guaning said. Use him well. Don't waste this opportunity, Yi Shu patted Lu Guaning. Couldn't you describe it in a different way? Using him sounds too despicable, Lu Guaning said. Use. Exploit? Utilize? Put to use? Take advantage of? Yi Shu displayed his flexible vocabulary. Quote. Airport, farewell, boarding, home. Their biggest takeaway from their trip to All-Stars was getting a helping hand from Sun Ziping. Even though he could only provide a limited amount of help for them, for Happy, they didn't always need him to be there. A help of the hand at the crucial moment could turn situations around. After this news was told to everyone else at Happy, Wei Chen and Wu Chen were astonished. Wei Chen didn't need to be mentioned. He had fought against Sun Ziping in the past. He knew about how skilled the former number 1 berserker was. As for Wu Chen, he had also heard of berserker's fame. Such a powerful helper couldn't be compared to a jack of all trades who came from the game. What a pity. It'd be perfect if he wasn't injured, Wei Chen lamented. If he actually recovered, we wouldn't be able to get him to join us, Yi Shu said. That's true, Wei Chen nodded his head. If Sun Ziping was truly at his peak, he would have joined another team long ago. He wouldn't be helping Happy, in any case. How's his equipment? Wei Chen asked. It's okay, Yi Shu said. Their requirements towards equipment emulated those of pro teams. Sun Ziping's equipment for another summer of sleep was absolutely high-end in the heavenly domain, but for a pro team, it was just so-so. Let's see if he wants any of our equipment over here. Wei Chen was very generous at this moment. During this time, let's continue working hard to collect equipment, Yi Shu said. How's your myriad manifestations umbrella going? Wei Chen said. I'm still unsure about the materials for one part, Yi Shu said. Self-made equipment was like this. If a single part wasn't good, a good piece of equipment couldn't be created. A passable one would affect the stats too. It wasn't impossible for level 60 silver equipment to have level 40 stats. Yi Shu wasn't certain about an important axle when the umbrella transformed. If the material he chose wasn't a good fit, it was known from past mistakes that, in the worst-case scenario, the umbrella would immediately collapse when it transformed. In the best-case scenario, it would damage its durability. Yi Shu had whittled it down to 2 materials. Both of them eliminated the possibility of the umbrella immediately collapsing, but he didn't know which one could guarantee its durability. Let me take a look, Wei Chen said. Yi Shu took out what he had researched during this time and the two began discussing. As soon as they arrived, Yi Shu immediately got to work with Glory. Chen Guo was already speechless. He didn't want to chat about Tang Ru? How boring. Not only did Yi Shu not gossip about it, he even pulled Wei Chen over to talk about work. The remaining Wu Chen, Chao Yifan, and Mo Fan weren't really targets for gossiping to, so Chen Guo could only endure. It really is troublesome. After Wei Chen and Yi Shu studied for an hour, he also wasn't sure like Yi Shu. Wei Chen wasn't an equipment editor expert at first, but after retiring, he concentrated fully on it, especially after reaching level 50. His research on heavenly domain materials was much deeper than Yi Shu's. At this point, Yi Shu had been focused on the matches. His research towards materials gradually slowed down. Right now, he was mainly relying on his solid foundation and inferred things from what he already knew. However, even Wei Chen wasn't sure either. If we can't think of anything, we can only test it out, Wei Chen sighed. A 50% chance isn't bad. Let's gamble. Prepare the earlier stage materials. Earlier stage materials meant that if this upgrade failed, they could immediately create another level 55 myriad manifestations umbrella. It looks like that's our only choice, Yi Shu sighed. Self-made equipment often came with uncertainties. In the end, they could only rely on testing directly. If the material used was optimal, they could record it. Sometimes there was nothing else that could be done. Wei Chen suddenly thought of something, perhaps Luoji could calculate it? How do you calculate this? Yi Shu asked. Rubbish. If you understood how to do so, you would have done it already, Wei Chen said. Okay, then give it to him to see. Yi Shu thought about it and contacted Lu Ji. He then told him about the problem and gave him a bunch of information. Soon afterwards, Luoji replied, I could calculate it in theory, but the information that you've researched doesn't help me that much. I would need the data on what materials were used in the myriad manifestations umbrella. What type of equipment could these materials create? The more information I have on that end, the more accurate of a grasp I'll have on the data. I understand that, Yi Shu sighed, but we just don't have that many materials to choose from. Chapter 938. Offline Matches. Having researched Glory for so long, Yi Shu might not have eaten pork before, but had still seen pigs run **. In regards to researching and developing equipment, the pro clubs currently had 2 groups working on it in tandem. One was comprised of people like Yi Shu and Wei Chen who utilized their knowledge and experience of Glory, the other did what Luo Ji had mentioned and used math to calculate and understand the specifics of each material. These 2 talents were people that the clubs would have on their development teams, supporting each other to complete research on Glory in general, not just custom equipment. Theoretically, Happy had both kinds of people as well. However, while Wei Chen and Yi Shu had plenty of experience and knowledge, Luo Ji was only beginning to apply his mathematical knowledge to Glory. That meant he had no stock of data and info to rely on. It was precisely this compiled data and information that was the core component of each team's R&D team. Even though Yi Shu used to be Team Excellent Era's captain, he still wouldn't have been able to obtain all of this information. As for Wei Chen, there was no need to mention him. Back in his day and age, R&D wasn't so structured, they all relied purely on experience. How about we do this? Another message came from Luo Ji. Compile a list of all the materials used in each upgrade and the creation of the myriad manifestations umbrella. Then, list out all the uses of these materials that you can think of. Give me the stats and data of the equipment these materials are used in, the more detailed the better, and I'll see if I can find a pattern within. Okay, Yi Shu replied with a simple word, but Wei Chen's face had already gone green. Only people who had researched silver equipment before knew how much work was involved in such a job. It's not just me who will be doing it, Yi Shu said to the green-faced Wei Chen. You should organize everything you know about materials as well. We still have so much silver equipment to research. Wei Chen immediately understood what he meant by this. They would start building Happy's database up from this day forth. I really can't believe that we're starting to get there. Wei Chen suddenly had a feeling of being distanced from the world. To be honest, when Yi Shu first pulled him in, he had the intentions of YOLOing it for the last thrill before it all ended. People like him who understood the pro circle more clearly had less confidence in grassroots teams. The current pro league wasn't like how it had been 8 or 9 years ago. Yet Happy had come this far. Their players, equipment, funds, materials, and guilds had all come out from nothing. Now, their database was on its way to being built as well. Wei Chen had suddenly realized, Happy had gradually become a young sparrow, ready to fly. Any team that looked at Happy as a grassroots team would pay the price for underestimating them. Organize materials, Wei Chen suddenly hollered, causing everyone in the room to jump in surprise. Yet he had already buried his head into his computer monitor, searching through his memories, the internet, and all the experience he had accumulated from his years of research, organizing them. Organize materials. Without waiting for anyone to react, Yi Shu suddenly hollered as well, before busying himself with his own computer. What's up with those two? The room of people exchanged glances. All they could be sure of was that these two hadn't gone crazy. They were just extremely focused, even more focused than in matches. The newest round of the Challenger League happening this week and the last round of the online matches, finally arrived on Friday. Team Happy had completed their last updates to their lineup before the last round. Berserker, Another Summer of Sleep, appeared on their members list. However, a change like this in a team in the Challenger League wouldn't be noticed. Even the reporters that were interested in Happy didn't even notice. The last online round of the Challenger League ended without suspense. The 20 teams that had survived till the offline matches had been locked in. Any team that could come to this point would have some sort of foundation in skill. However, for Happy, skilled normal player teams weren't enough to make them feel threatened. Apart from Excellent Era, Team Mysterious Fantasy, who had also been relegated last season, had also made it into the top 20. Mysterious Fantasy's relegation wasn't something shocking like Excellent Era's. In the last season, they had been steadily last for 90% of the time, not giving any other teams a chance to take their spot. Their relegation was undebatable, they were the weakest, there was no fault with that result. However, their weakness was relative. In comparison to normal player teams, they were definitely much stronger. However, in the pro circle, Mysterious Fantasy couldn't even match up to Everlasting. Everlasting had 3 years of experience in the Pro League, while Mysterious Fantasy hadn't even been able to hold on for 2 years before getting kicked out. In addition, their ability to remain in the league seemed to be all thanks to a miraculous idea of getting retired veteran Zhang Yue to coach them. With such an experienced ex-pro giving pointers, Mysterious Fantasy's rookies managed okay in their first season, but Zhang Yue wasn't able to pull off another miracle in the second year, causing them to fall like a mountain's collapse. The topic of if a coach could change a team warmed up again. Usually, a relegated team wanting to keep its strength was a hard task, but Mysterious Fantasy's members had pretty much all stayed. It wasn't so much that the team had done a good job as it was that other teams hadn't shown much interest in Mysterious Fantasy's members. Could a Mysterious Fantasy of this strength win against Excellent Era in the Challenger League? Normal players weren't bothered to even try to consider this question. In the past, the face-off between two teams that were relegated in the same season would be the hottest topic of the Challenger League. As for this year, it was probably more worth your time to keep an eye on that grassroots team Happy that swore to beat Excellent Era than on Mysterious Fantasy. After Mysterious Fantasy, another team with a history was Team Jade Dynasty ***. J Dynasty didn't just have background, but it even had a history. Even Yi Shu and Wei Chen felt their hearts warmed by seeing the name J Dynasty. Team J Dynasty was a team that was in the league since its creation. Just this seniority was enough to instantly kill half the teams in the league right now. However, in comparison to their seniority, what was more touching about J Dynasty was their rocky road to life. From the very first year when J Dynasty joined the league, they had ranked last. However, since there was no relegations in the first year, they still participated the next year. Unfortunately, in the second year, relegation became a thing and J Dynasty, who had been at the bottom of the charts again, were relegated. In the third year, Team J Dynasty conquered the Challenger League. So they returned in the fourth year and were relegated once more. In the fifth year they won the Challenger League again, entering the Alliance, and in the sixth year of matches, they were kicked again. J Dynasty, with the moniker Revival King, had somehow slipped up in the seventh year and lost this title. In this year's Challenger League, they had failed. Then in the eighth year, they slipped up once more. J Dynasty still hadn't disbanded, entering their ninth year, this year's Challenger League. 9 years of pro glory, 5 in the Challenger League. J Dynasty was definitely the most experienced team in the Challenger League. However, there was probably no team in the Pro League that really cared about how strong they really were anymore. Some teams might have even forgotten about their existence. A team that struggled even in the Challenger League didn't seem to be anything that the powerhouses of the Alliance cared about, even if they did revive themselves. Even Wei Chen was surprised at seeing J Dynasty's name in the list of 20 that had made it. Is it that J Dynasty? Wei Chen asked in shock. It is that J Dynasty, Yi Shu confirmed. They haven't disbanded yet, Wei Chen asked. Not yet, Yi Shu replied. This is an opponent worthy of our respect, Wei Chen said with great respect. Yes. If they get eliminated again, you think they'll finally disband? Respect was respect, trash talking was trash talking. Who knows? Yi Shu responded. Do you still know anyone on the team? Wei Chen questioned. That, I really am not sure of, Yi Shu said. It was already the third year J Dynasty was struggling through in the Challenger League. Yi Shu didn't know what lineup they had. Even if they had interacted in the sixth season, this sort of third-string team wasn't one that would leave a deep impression on Yi Shu's mind. Who was in it back then? Wei Chen tried his best to remember, but it was obvious that the weak links would always not make much of an impression. Amongst Wei Chen's few memories in the Pro League, all that he was left with about J Dynasty was their name. The title of Revival King for J Dynasty was no more than a joke, no one truly cared to notice how they were doing. This was especially true after 2 years of failure, when it wasn't even a joke anymore, they were close to being completely forgotten. No matter what, we must take them seriously, Yi Shu said solemnly. Yes, take them seriously, Wei Chen nodded. Only he knew if he was actually taking it to heart. Excellent Era, Mysterious Fantasy, and J Dynasty. Those were the ones amongst the 20 teams that had some history of being in the Pro League. Usually, they would be the titans of the Challenger League. Apart from them, it was just normal player teams, the real grassroots. Being able to get here, they definitely had some skill. The big teams would keep an eye on their behavior, and some might be noticed by the teams, becoming pro players. What was a shame was that there were no teams amongst these grassroots teams that had taken names mocking Excellent Era. That was a big point of interest lost. However, in comparison to people who tried to use their team names to mock Excellent Era, Team Happy who had sworn to defeat them was the greatest taunt. That was because it seemed that Happy was serious. The offline matches were about to begin and the big glory media outlets finally decided the Challenger League worthy of more articles, Excellent Era's grand lineup, Mysterious Fantasies coach J Dynasty's rise and fall, Happy's shameless boasting. These all became interesting topics. As for the Alliance, they began to officially contact the teams, informing them of the place and time of their offline matches. Yet before this, an important event needed to happen. Drawing lots. In some sense, an event that would determine the future of these teams had just begun. Super long TN ahead. This means that though someone might not have personally been an expert at, worked in, or have intentionally undergone training in an area, they still had some idea of how it worked because of their experience. Some of you may recognize J Dynasty from the MMORPG by the same name. This MMORPG is actually based on the novel, Jade Dynasty, also known as Zhu Xian. The novel itself is very famous in China. It's considered a Chinese fantasy masterpiece. Along with Legend of the Simple Soldier and A Fleeting Journey, Zhu Xian is considered one of the 3 webnovel masterpieces. It was published in around 2003. Kidian was created in 2003, so it could be considered as a defining work during the early Chinese webnovel scene. Unfortunately, those early masterpieces like Legend of the Simple Soldier and A Fleeting Journey aren't being translated. I've also heard good things about other early webnovels like Mercenaries Under the Sky, Purple River, A Tale of Wind's Gesture. These most likely won't be translated though, as I don't think they would be popular in the current scene, which is dominated by YY novels. More on that later. If you were around 2 to 3 years ago when the international webnovel scene began, you could consider Zhu Xian or those other 2 early works mentioned as the coiling dragon of the Chinese webnovel scene. It had around 30 million views, clicks back when it was serialized, which is incredible, considering that there were way fewer Chinese readers in the webnovel scene than now. TKA, serialized in 2011, had around 25 million views, clicks. To put that into perspective, and TKA is very popular in China. The most popular, clicked, webnovel is Battle Through the Heavens, published in 2008 with 151,300,000 views, clicks. BTTH could also be considered a defining work in the Chinese webnovel scene, although not necessarily because of the quality of the work unlike the 3 mentioned above. I want to say that along with IET's Stellar Transformations, also published in 2008, it helped popularize the webnovel scene immensely. I also want to say that BTTH is how YY novels got popularized. These are just conjectures though, so take it with a grain of salt. Also, in case you didn't know, YY novels are your typical Chinese webnovels filled with tropes like arrogant young masters who don't recognize Mount Tai, old grandpa teacher, alchemy, auctions, tournaments, face-slapping, op-MC, and so on. You can consider YY novels as fast food. They're very fun, delicious and addicting, but not exactly quality stuff. And there's nothing wrong with that. I have my fair share of YY novels that I love. And finally back to Zhu Xian. The translations for Zhu Xian can be found online. Check novel updates for official links. The first 50 or so chapters were done by a different translator than the current one, so the naming convention switches in the middle, which can be quite confusing. However, in spite of that, I'd still highly recommend reading it, especially if you're looking for a more traditional, non-YY shanja. Sorry for posting where the chapter belongs. It took quite some time to write this up, so I didn't want my efforts to be for nothing even if this was just for fun. Also, the translator's thoughts UI doesn't let me format stuff. Please fix. Thanks. Chapter 939. Drawing lots. The next groupings for the 20 teams would be determined by drawn lots. What opponents you would have was clear. If this was important or not, it was obvious from what had happened with the teams Everlasting and Sunset Fire. These teams both had pro backgrounds and, under usual circumstances, wouldn't have too much of a problem getting into the offline match portion of the league. Yet the 2 hadn't draw lucky lots. Everlasting had gotten happy and Sunset Fire managed to draw excellent era, being eliminated from the Challenger League early on. Everlasting had completely disbanded, and there hadn't been any news from Sunset Fire since. How many people would care to notice a poor eliminated Challenger League team? Such an important drawing of lots had to happen offline, of course, for transparency and fairness. Team Happy obtained messages via email and then phone, wanting them to confirm that they understood that they had to arrive at the Alliance's headquarters before January 18th for the lot drawing ceremony. January 18th was a Saturday. Putting this on a weekend was an act of kindness from the Alliance. After all, many of the players had work or school and were only free on the weekend. However, this kindness ended there. Following that, all the teams were gathered together for the offline matches, which would occur over the course of a full month. The work and school of the participants would be affected. Their own decision on how to proceed was on themselves. For this, I think I should just go, Chen Guo suggested to everyone after getting the message from the Alliance. To be honest, Chen Guo was feeling quite nervous. The captain or someone should be the one attending this sort of ceremony. However, Yi Shu and Wei Chen had spent the past few days and nights organizing all of the knowledge they had accumulated over the years regarding materials. Chen Guo couldn't bear to trouble them with such an errand. The headquarters of the alliance wasn't in H City, which would make this trip take even longer. Seeing how these two practically looked like they were trying to crack a minute into two halves to use, Chen Guo decided that she should be the one to handle the task. Sure, it doesn't matter who goes, Yi Shu didn't care. Get a good draw. Wei Chen, on the other hand, had to give Chen Guo some pressure. I'll go with you, Tang Ru said. No need, you should stay and continue training with the others, Chen Guo said with a smile. That's true, Yi Shu nodded, we need to focus on preparing ourselves mentally for the matches to come. In the end, Chen Guo, represented happy to attend the lot drawing ceremony. January 18, Glory Alliance headquarters, the lot drawing ceremony began at 2 p.m. Chen Guo arrived timely and sat in a random spot after registering her arrival. Taking a look around the place, she saw that a large group of people were crowding around one place. It was only after the host's urging that they slowly dispersed. Looking again, Chen Guo saw that Excellent Era's captain and vice-captain were sitting there, Sun Shang and Xiao Shikan. Were those people crowding around to get autographs? After watching everyone leave, the two spotted Chen Guo as well. The two sides hadn't met each other many times, but they knew each other. Xiao Shikan smiled and nodded in greeting and Chen Guo nodded back in acknowledgement. This scene was seen by many people and they all began to guess what relationship this beautiful lady had with Xiao Shikan. It was only under the host's urging, again, that the crowd quieted. As the host announced the lot drawing ceremony in motion, the first one to walk onto the stage was the biggest boss of the Glory Alliance, Chairman Feng Xianjun. Though the Challenger League wasn't on the same level as the Pro League, it was still an official event hosted by the Alliance. No matter how limited the attention given to the Challenger League was, the Alliance itself still needed it. The big boss Feng Xianjun had to come to such an event to say a few words, even if it was just civilities about his gratitude, well wishes, and hopes. After that, the ceremony started. First, the computer randomly gave each team a number and the teams began to go up one by one to draw their lots. Team Happy was randomly assigned to draw their group fourth and their turn came quickly. Chen Guo rose and walked on stage, and the audience burst into a wave of discussion. Even though the attention given to the Challenger League might be limited, the teams that were in the Challenger League themselves were very well acquainted with the rumors and hot topics going around within the league. Team Happy had gained a lot of attention by challenging Excellent Era, and shortly after they defeated Team Everlasting, becoming the hottest topic in the Challenger League. In comparison, Excellent Era, who had also defeated a pro team, Sunset Fire, wouldn't become such a hot topic because it was to be expected. Rumor had it that God Yi Chu was at Team Happy. The representatives from each team had hoped to see him at the lot drawing ceremony. Yet who they actually saw was this beautiful woman. No matter how mysterious Yi Chu was, there was no doubt that he was a guy. When the audience saw, they at least didn't have any strange and convoluted ideas and guesses about how Yi Chu might actually be a beautiful lady. Team Happy, Group B. After Chen Guo drew her slip, she took a glance at it before handing it over to the host. The host announced the draw and on the big screen, in the list of Group B teams, Team Happy's name appeared. At that moment, 4 teams had been assigned groups. A and B each had a team and C had 2, but D had yet to get any. Chen Guo returned to her seat, taking a deep breath. The teams that everyone took notice of was the pro teams. They all hoped to God that there wouldn't be a pro team in their group. Chen Guo was the same, so she had memorized the number of Excellent Era, Mysterious Fantasy, and Jade Dynasty were positioned at 12, 8, and 15 respectively. After Chen Guo, number 5, 6 and 7 went up to draw their groups. The 7th team, called 7 Steps 1 Kill, managed to draw Group B, the same as Team Happy. Then, Chen Guo saw that, when the member of 7 Steps 1 Kill came down, he shot her an anxious glance and she realized that while she was focused on the 3 pro teams, Team Happy was a team of note, one to avoid for the other normal player teams. This felt pretty good. Chen Guo enjoyed this feeling, but then the 8th team Mysterious Fantasy came on stage to draw their lot and the host soon announced their result, Group B. Chen Guo paused for a moment and then looked over to see that member of 7 Steps 1 Kill again. Now he didn't just look anxious, he looked like he was about to cry. Excellent Era, Mysterious Fantasy, Jade Dynasty, and Happy. These were the teams that were hard to deal with, which meant that each team would take a place for themselves. Team Happy had gotten Group B, taking a place from there. It could be predicted that the competition for the remaining place would be intense, so the member of 10 Steps 1 Kill began to become nervous. Yet, Mysterious Fantasy took a spot in Group B that meant that the remaining place had been taken as well. From now on, the result of Group B's competition was set. 7 Steps 1 Kill's member naturally wanted to weep. Those who had drawn their lots and not gotten Group B felt immense relief. Those who had yet to draw their group watched Group B warily, silently praying to themselves. Everyone had the same wish in their hearts, Excellent Era and Jade Fantasy, if only they had also went to Group B. Then, the 10th team, Team Traitor drew Group B when that player came down from the stage. His demeanor made him seem like he was the twin brother of 7 Steps 1 Kill's player. Soon enough, it was number 12, Team Excellent Era's turn. The one who went on stage was Captain Sun Shang, and he didn't even bother to check his group after drawing it, handing the slip directly to the host and leaving the stage before anything was even announced. This was a portrayal of Excellent Era's atypical status. These draws were meaningless to them. Team Excellent Era, Group D, the host announced. All of the present players were stoic. Though everyone had been crowding around the two gods present at Excellent Era, the reality was that, with the current circumstances, no one wanted Excellent Era here. No one enjoyed seeing Sun Zhang's display of arrogance. Though everyone was willing to admit that they were, by far, no match for Excellent Era, they were all still hoping to win. Everyone loved miracles. After Excellent Era, 3 of the strongest teams had already been assigned to a group, and only Jade Dynasty was left. Currently, the most nervous ones were Group D's teams, praying desperately that Jade Dynasty wouldn't fall into Group D. This time, their prayers were answered. Team Jade Dynasty, Group A. As the host announced this, the audience seemed to erupt. Everyone's tense and on-edge nerves had finally found relief. Those in Group C were the luckiest, then Group A. Group D had Excellent Era, so there was little hope for that spot, but at the very least there was another for people to compete over. As for Group B, the teams in Group B didn't even want to speak. The audience exploded into a ruckus, as if the drawing was already over, making number 16, who was coming onto the stage, extremely awkward. The host knew the reason for this commotion and knew that it would be futile to try and maintain decorum. The numbers 16 to 20 quickly went by. Among them, one team had gotten Group B, but no one cared at all, so they could only silently go to one side and weep. The assignments for the 20 teams had been completed, and the schedule of the matches was automatically generated and printed out by the computer, then distributed to all the representatives. After all the members of the teams obtained a copy of the schedule and got their souvenirs, they took a group photo. This was an event that the chairman had to participate in. After Feng Xianjun took a picture with everyone, he started to chat with the two gods of Excellent Era and then turned, catching sight of Chen Guo. Team Happy, Feng Xianjun referred to Chen Guo by saying this, "How come Yi Chu isn't here?" Everyone's ears perked up. Was Yi Chu in Team Happy? This question was passed around. One day he wasn't there, and the next he wasn't Yi Chu. No one ever gained a precise answer. Was the chairman's words a revelation? Chen Guo had no idea how to respond to this question. She had always had a thought. Yi Shu had used his brother Yi Chu's identity to play matches and now he was switching back. Would the alliance acknowledge this? Chen Guo had been tripped up by this, yet unexpectedly, someone came to her rescue. She wouldn't have ever expected this person to be Sun Shang. As the captain, how could he not come to such an important event? Does Happy think themselves above the Challenger League? Sun Shang said. Sun Shang felt like he had made a very impressive taunt and the others did find it impressive. You clearly thought yourself above this, yet you still used this. Using 800 to strike down 1,000 asterisk, that was truly a god, so courageous. Team Happy's captain hasn't come, but their boss has, Chen Guo smiled and said. After being around the old foxes Yi Shu and Wei Chen for so long, Sun Zhang's taunt could only be called weak to Chen Guo. Chapter 940. Another year. How about it? Are you interested in joining our Team Happy? After Chen Guo made her status as the boss known, she gave Sun Shang another blow. After her encounter with Lu Guaning, Chen Guo truly experienced the greatness of having the status as a boss, so she started utilizing it more freely. HMPH. We'll see each other on stage, Sun Xiang sneered coldly, but then he thought of something and immediately added, I hope we can. We won't be, Chen Guo smirked, I'm here as the boss. This time, everyone laughed. Chen Guo knew when to stop. She swiftly left, not giving Sun Xiang another chance to speak. Once Happy drew the lots and got their competition schedules, everyone took a look. Happy and Excellent Era had been split up into two different brackets, which meant that if the two were to meet, it would only be in the finals. Unfortunately, the two former pro teams, Mysterious Fantasy and Jade Dynasty, had been placed in the same bracket. In order to reach the finals, Happy would need to beat these two teams. The offline matches will officially begin in 3 months, Chen Guo said. Yes, Yishu nodded his head. He obviously knew that. The number of teams participating in the Challenger League changed every year, so it wasn't possible to know how many rounds there would be in the online part of the league. The offline matches always started in the middle of April and lasted until the middle of May. It took place before the climax of the season and before playoffs, so there wouldn't be a split in attention from the fans. Go back home and celebrate New Year's. Then, let's start preparing, Yi Shu announced. This year's Spring Festival took place a little earlier than usual. 1/22 was the Lunar New Year's Eve. After Chen Guo brought back the results from the lot drawing, everyone in Happy was busy preparing to go back home and celebrate the Spring Festival. The first one to leave was Mo Fan. He didn't say farewell to anyone. Instead, he chose a time when everyone was still there. He picked up his luggage bag in front of everyone and left without uttering a word. This guy's going to come back, right? Everyone began to discuss. Let's go check his room. Wei Chen went upstairs with a cigarette held in his mouth. Randomly barging into someone's room was nothing for someone as shameless as Old Wei. Fuck. It's locked. Is there a spare key for it? Wei Chen yelled a short moment later. Forget it, Chen Guo said. She obviously had a spare key, but if she gave it away, wouldn't she become Wei Chen's accomplice in performing shameless acts? If he took the keys, then doesn't that mean he plans on coming back? Tang Ru said. What if that bastard locked his keys in there? Wei Chen said. Damn, the keys are in there, but the door's locked. Boss, let me climb up and get in through the window, Steamed Bun shouted hoarsely. He's not Steamed Bun, Tang Ru replied calmly to Wei Chen's question. Okay then, Wei Chen approved. Yi Shu felt like Mo Fan would come back. Even though that guy never said anything, that was just the type of person he was. The current situation made Yi Shu feel like he was approaching a dead end though. After Yi Shu won him over, he let him do his own thing and appeared to completely ignore him, but in reality, Mo Fan had never escaped his attention. It could even be said that he paid the most attention to him out of everyone here. Yi Shu saw all of the changes in Mo Fan. Mo Fan sometimes watched Glory Pro matches in secret. After the update came out and new dungeons popped up, he began getting used to coordinating with the team. After all, his foundation was solid. As soon as he started becoming aware of how to coordinate with the team, he improved rapidly. In Yishu's eyes, PvE could not completely reveal Mo Fan's true potential. PvP was his expertise. It was just that there weren't any chances to test him right now. These tests also needed to happen naturally. Urge him or ask him? With Mo Fan's personality, it would most likely backfire. Wait for him to ask about it himself? He was someone who stayed to himself and kept quiet. It was unlikely that he would take the initiative to request it. This was the dead end that Yi Shu felt like he was approaching. He needed to find some way around it. The others spared Yi Shu the trouble. Everyone followed the appropriate practice routine. Their practice tools still came from the game, whether that was through clearing dungeons, killing bosses, or fighting different opponents in the arena. Their skill levels rose, and they accumulated all sorts of different experiences. Sudden growth and improvement would no longer happen anymore for anyone on Happy because none of them were noobs now. Their following growth would depend on the slow and steady accumulation of experience. In the game, as players obtained better equipment, the new level 75 wild bosses in the Heavenly Domain were gradually capable of being killed, and not just the materials, but the level 75 orange equipment dropped from these bosses were extremely valuable. It had been a month since the update. No level 75 silver equipment had appeared in the pro scene yet. The R&D departments of the various teams were still actively studying the new level 75 materials. To research materials, the guild department needed to provide these materials to the R&D departments. With such a large player foundation, their ability to obtain dungeon materials was stable, but wild boss materials were always challenging to get their hands on. To get ahead of the others in silver equipment, they needed to get ahead of the others in fighting wild bosses. The fires of battle in the heavenly domain reached the skies. Level 75 wild bosses needed to be won, but level 70, level 65, etc. bosses couldn't be let go of either. When upgrading a piece of equipment, a large number of materials would be consumed. Apart from new materials, the past materials needed to keep up too. Even though Happy was small, they were still ambitious. All bosses would be fought over. There were 6 level 75 maps with a total of 8 level 75 wild bosses. The total number of wild bosses had now reached 82. 11 wild bosses spawned each day on average, which came to around a wild boss every 2 hours. The intensity of work for wild bosses grew all the more. The top guilds increased the number of organized teams. Elite groups 1, 2, and 3 were thrown into the front lines of battle. The entire world was searching for and killing bosses. Supposedly, the clubs had increased the pay and bonuses for their guild department employees at this crucial moment, so no one dared to slack off. Happy didn't have a professional guild department yet, so they didn't have these types of conditions. As a result, foresight from Happy and the Guild Alliance was now revealed. Happy didn't have the resources, but the other guilds did. Happy had been the core of the alliance since the start. As Yishu's focus gradually shifted away, Happy seemed to have become more and more like a freeloader. However, the allied guilds had tasted the fruits of collaboration. At this time, they didn't want to rashly disrupt the peace because everyone understood one thing very well. With their strength, if they did not ally together, they were pretty much spectators in these boss hunts. In addition, Yishu had looked for mid-tier teams as allies. These guilds were not good enough to be at the top, but they could not accept being at the bottom either. They were the group under the least amount of pressure during the season. The competitiveness between them wasn't as intense as the competitiveness between the powerhouses. The longer they allied together the better. As for Happy, they had recruited Wu Chen over to help with the guild. By the time this alliance would no longer hold, Happy would have their own guild department by then and would have no trouble operating. As Happy competed for bosses, Happy accumulated all sorts of materials bit by bit. Because they hadn't begun developing silver equipment, these materials didn't get used up. More and more materials started being amassed. Yishu and Wei Chen hadn't finished organizing the materials yet. The ones that they had finished organizing were all given to Luo Ji. When Luo Ji saw the enormous amount of materials, he wasn't flustered. He said calmly, "It'll be much easier with this." Luo Ji was incomparably confident at his area of expertise. 1/20th. Monday of the new week. Relatively speaking, it was simple and crude. Happy's training base was usually filled with energy, but now, the people were gone and the place was completely empty. On the other hand, at Happy Internet Cafe, Yi Shu, Chen Guo, and Su Mucheng had gathered together again. "You're not going back home again?" Chen Guo could see that Yi Shu had no intentions of going back. Have you seen my brother's QQ name?" Yi Shu said. "What is it?" Chen Guo was puzzled. "He changed his QQ name to this today," Yi Shu said. "How could I know?" Chen Guo rolled her eyes. "It was purely a coincidence, okay?" However, for Chen Guo, suddenly having two people by her side to celebrate the new year made her very happy. She had to celebrate the Lunar New Year's Eve alone many times. She could no longer remember how many exactly. She could only remember that she had been very lonely one year, so she let many of the kids, who just received their red envelopes, play at her internet cafe. In the end, even though she didn't take any money from these kids, according to internet cafe regulations, whether or not she charged them wasn't important. Letting in so many minors was enough for Happy's business license to be suspended. It was better now. She didn't need to take these kinds of risks anymore. It was just that this Lunar New Year's Eve didn't seem any different from normal. Why were they still playing Glory? Chen Guo thought about it and felt a bit angry. She got up. "What's up, boss?" Yi Shu noticed Chen Guo's action. "I'm going to watch the Spring Festival Gala," Chen Guo said. Isn't using the projector to watch the Spring Festival Gala a little overboard? Yi Shu asked. It's clearer that way, Chen Guo said. Too clear. A close-up on screen showed a nose as big as a person's head. Yi Shu almost jumped up in fright. I'll watch while I play. Chen Guo went back to her seat. With the Spring Festival Gala playing, the New Year's vibe instantly came. Where are you at? Although the projector was showing the Spring Festival Gala, Chen Guo constantly looked towards Yi Shu's screen out of habit. 82%, Yi Shu said calmly. How are you so fast? Chen Guo was furious. They were both doing the Spring Festival events. Yi Shu was 82% of the way done, while she was still only at 31%. Do you really need me to say why? Yi Shu asked. Chen Guo fumed. Haha, I'm done. Su Mucheng suddenly cheered. No way. How did you do it? Let me see. You're cheating. Yi Shu was astonished. Ha 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 ha, it looks like Miu Miu is still the best. Chen Guo was happy. Su Mucheng was faster than her by 69%, but Chen Guo didn't mind. In fact, her anger disappeared because Su Mucheng was faster than Yi Shu by 18%. How did you do it? Yi Shu never slacked off when it came to studying glory. It's over here. You can do it like this, Su Mucheng explained. Chen Guo understood half of it, but she still went over to listen. In the end, it seemed like no one was watching the Spring Festival Gala.